Stories about heroes are timeless. From Hercules to Hector, Joan of Arc to Beowulf, we found in these tales all the things that we long to see in ourselves. Beowulf is one of those tales that has been told repeatedly. This tale of the Northmen, the Vikings, shaped the way we saw the peoples of Scandinavia and Norway for centuries. This telling of Beowulf, narrated by Ahmed ibn Fadlan, is just one of the many retellings of the same story. This is Eaters of the Dead by Michael Crichton. Of the table of Hrothgar I shall say this, that every man had a tablecloth and a plate, and spoon and knife, that the meal was boiled pork and goat and some fish too, for the Northmen much preferred boiled meat to roasted. Then there were cabbages and onions in abundance, apples and hazelnuts. A Swedish fleshy meat was given me that I had not tasted before. This, I was told, was elk or reindeer. The dreadful foul drink called mead is made from honey, then fermented. It is the sourest, blackest, vilest stuff ever invented by any man, and yet it is potent beyond all knowing. A few drinks and the world spins. But I did not drink. Praise Allah. Now I noticed that Bulvi and all his companions did not drink that night, or only sparingly, and Hrothgar took this as no insult, but rather acknowledged it as the natural course of things. There was no wind that night. The candles and flames of Hurret Hall did not flicker, and yet it was damp and chill. I saw with my own eyes that out of doors the mist was rolling in from the hills, blocking the silvered light of the moon, cloaking all in blackness. As the night continued, King Hrothgar and his queen departed for sleep, and the massive doors of Hurret Hall were locked and barred, and the nobles and earls remaining there fell into a drunken stupor and snored loudly. Then Bulvi and his men, still wearing their armor, went about the room, dousing the candles and seeing to the fires that they should burn low and weak. I asked Herger the meaning of this, and he told me to pray for my life and to feign sleep. I was given a weapon, a short sword, but it was little comfort to me. I was not a warrior, and I knew it well. Verily, all the men feigned sleep. Bulvi and his men joined the slumbering bodies of the King Hrothgar's earls, who were truly snoring. How long we waited, I do not know, for I think I slept a while myself. Then all at once I was awake, in a manner of unnatural sharp alertness. I was not drowsy, but instantly tense and alert, still lying on a bearskin cloth on the floor of the great hall. I sat upon one elbow, my heart pounding, and I looked about the hall. No man among the sleeping warriors moved, and yet there was Herger, lying with his eyes wide open, and there, too, Bulvi, breathing in a snore, with his eyes also wide open. From this I gathered that all the warriors of Bulvi were waiting to do battle with the Wendel, whose sounds now filled the air. By Allah, there is no greater fear than that of a man who does not know the cause. How long I lay upon the bearskin, hearing the grunting of the Wendel and smelling their foul odors. How long I waited for I knew not what, the start of some battle, more fearsome in the prospect than it could be in the fighting. I remembered this, that the Northmen have a saying of praise that they carve upon the tombstones of noble warriors, which is this: he did not flee battle. None of the company of Bulwi fled that night, though the sounds and stink were all around them, now louder, now fainter, now from one direction, now another, and yet they waited. I remember most distinctly the touch of these monsters upon me, especially the furry aspect of the bodies, for these mist monsters have hair as long as a hairy dog, and is thick on all parts of their bodies, and I remember the fetid smell of the breath of the monsters who flung me. As for Bulvi and Herger and all the others, they were soaked in blood as if they had bathed in it. Herger said thus, I saw two of their number carrying a third who was dead. Perhaps this was so, for all generally agreed upon it. I learned that the mist monsters never leave one of their kind to the society of men, but rather will risk great dangers to retrieve him from human purview. Then Bulvi spoke, and Herger told me his words thus. Look, I have retained a trophy of the night's bloody deeds. See, here is an arm of one of the fiends. And true to his word, Bulvi held the arm of one of the mist monsters, cut off at the shoulder by the great sword Runding. Now all the warriors cheered Bulvi and his sword Runding. The fiend's arm was hung from the rafters of the great hall of Hurrit, and marveled at by all the people in the kingdom of Hrothgar. Thus ended the first battle of the Wendel.